This is the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How are you doing today on the Joe Gaither Show right here on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. Hope you're all having a beautiful Tuesday as you're getting ready for the first four tonight. The NCAA Tournament getting underway officially tonight. Do you like the first four? Has it grown on you? What do you think about the first four? We'll talk about those games just briefly and make our picks. I've never really gotten around to embracing the first four, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you guys are subscribed to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on Amazon, your favorite podcasting platform. We're a proud part of the Bama Central Broadcasting Network, along with our friends Blue Collar Unplugged. It's going to be a great week to hear from Blue Collar Unplugged with Blake Byler, Matthew Gibson, and Jacob Pickle. Those guys bringing you all things Alabama basketball related, so make sure you subscribe to them as well. You can find us on the social media machines at Joe Gaither 6 on any of your social media machines. Send us a comment, question, query, and complaint. And we got a lot to get into today. What are we going to do? We're going to first talk, we're going to talk about why we love the NCAA tournament. We'll go down memory lane there just a little bit. We'll go down memory lane. We're going to talk about the weird matchups. The selection committee did a very strange job seeding and placing the teams in this tournament. We'll talk about the transfer portal just a little bit as it got opened on Monday. Alabama getting some good news about 15, 20 minutes ago with Houston Millette. Transfer from Pepperdine is coming in to be a part of next year's roster. We'll talk about Houston Millette and a couple of other guys who have reported to have been in contact with the Alabama basketball program already in the transfer portal. Like I said, we'll talk about the first four, what channel is True TV on, and we will finish it up with a little bit of Alabama Pro Day. So if you guys want to jump in and join us on the comment section, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube right there at Joe Gaither 6 to be a part of the show. All right, we're going to talk. Let's start it off with the tournament. I mean, look, it's Tuesday. It's Tournament Tuesday. And like I said, it is first four, and we will talk about those games here in just a minute. But I've never really embraced the first four because when did it start? It started when I was a kid, first four round. When did it start? History. It started in Dayton. It's obviously going to be a fun time in Dayton, Ohio. But it started, 2011, right? 2011 was the first four. So I was already, 8, 9, 10 years into filling out brackets, before it first began. And obviously, if you don't know who's going to win in the first four, you've got those weird blank spots in the 10 line and in the 16 line, particularly tonight. But you've got these weird spots on the bracket, and so it's kind of hard to figure that it's part of the NCAA tournament. But yes, it indeed starts tonight. Look, my memories of the NCAA tournament date back to when I was a kid, 2000, 2001. Carmelo Anthony winning the national championship as a freshman. You kicked off spring break week with the first round of the NCAA tournament. I know for the University of Alabama, they had spring break week last week, but my high school time pretty much always lined up the NCAA tournament with spring break. I don't know if our school administrators did that on purpose or if it was just the way the calendar fell, but either way, for myself as a sports fan, as a 10, 12-year-old sports fan, to get all day at home with it, my parents were teachers as well, so everybody was pretty much home or around the time of the start of the tournament on that Thursday, and it just feels like a huge event. It's the best event really in college sports. I think it's the hardest team sport to win in college sports. A lot of people, you might throw up baseball, you might throw up football, obviously some of the fan favorites. But to win 6 games in a row against the nation's best in 3 different sites, you got to win 2 games in 3 different sites. I think it's the hardest team sport to win, especially, you see all the upsets, all the luck that goes into it. What made you fall in love with the NCAA tournament? For me, it was watching Taylor Coppenrath and Vermont knocking off Syracuse a couple of years after. When you pencil in an upset into your bracket and it comes true, it's one of those things that may really, especially if you're a kid, that you really hold on to, that it seeps into your memory. It was one of those great games. Vermont knocked off Syracuse in the first round. Got really attached to the 2005 North Carolina National Championship team. I really just lots of memory. The George Mason Final Four goes crazy in my mind. Let's see, Adam Morrison crying. Adam Morrison and Gonzaga. Like you get attached to all of these players and all of these teams and storylines, and we will do that again this year. And that's what's so exciting about the NCAA tournament. You're going to get to know a field of 68, and then when it cuts down to 16, there will certainly be some surprises and great stories. Will Alabama be among those great stories right there in the second weekend, playing in the second weekend, taking on maybe North Carolina, maybe Michigan State, maybe Mississippi State? It's going to be a lot of fun. The dice rolls on Thursday. It gets really rolling on Thursday with the first round. Tonight's first four and Wednesday's first four. Will I watch it? Absolutely, 100%. I'm going to watch it. But does it really feel like the traditional start of the tournament? To me, not so much. I'm going to want to be in front of the television. What is it, Thursday at 11:05? I think it kicks off right here Central Time, and you'll be able to find True TV, CBS, TNT, and the like right there, keeping up with the entire, all of the tournament games. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's talk about real quick. Let's transition into the job the committee did. We talked about it just a little bit yesterday. We obviously highlighted the Alabama matchups as the 4 seed going out to Spokane. But let's see. All right, there's my tab, the entire bracket. Just observations of weird things. The committee, you can't tell me that they adhered strictly to, look, they said we didn't follow the eye test, and that was very clear and evident. A lot of analytics were at play, except for, I guess, St. John's being left out of the tournament, coming in, KenPom number 24, 25, getting left out of the tournament, in favor of who? Virginia is playing tonight in the first 4, and what are they, like the 60s or so? The committee obviously has certain agendas, and the committee obviously had things that they wanted to accomplish. Let's start in the East. The East is the craziest bracket. You follow a lot of the analytical sites, and you look at the combined KenPom rankings for each of the top 4 seeds in each East, South, West, Midwest. In the South, it's 41, right? The top 4 seeds, Houston, Marquette, Kentucky, and Duke. It's 41. Okay. In the West, it's North Carolina, it's Arizona, it's Baylor, and it's your boys, it's Alabama. So there's your 4. It's 42. Your combined seating, your combined ranking is 42. 41 in the South, 42 in the West. In the Midwest, Purdue, Tennessee, Creighton, and Kansas, that total gives you 43. So 3 brackets, all in the same kind of, you've got nice balance. You've got nice difficulty all throughout. The 1 through 4 seeds gives you essentially 41 in the KenPom rankings. What does the East give you? UConn, Auburn, Iowa State, Illinois, you combine those 4 teams, it gives you 20. So while the Southwest and Midwest definitely are treacherous paths to the Final Four, there is no harder path than the East bracket. None. You look at it just analytically, it looks just twice as hard, twice as loaded, just as far as the top teams in the country on paper. Yeah, I know Auburn didn't have that many great quad 1 wins away from home, and they won a lot of games there in the jungle, and it's going to be hard. They get knocked a little bit for their non-conference scheduling, but they're what? Are they the only team in KenPom that has top 10 offensive and defensive efficiencies in the country? I think so. So, you've got a really difficult region, and it's very clear that either they say they went with the analytics and didn't, or they just wanted to pick some of the fun matchups that they can pick. And let's talk about it. In the East region, you got UConn, Florida Atlantic, and San Diego State. 3 of last year's Final 4 teams. Oh, don't tell me we don't make this for TV. And then you look a little closer. Everybody's eyes, especially in this region, goes to Auburn and Yale, and goes to San Diego State and UAB. And we know maybe there's some political things at play when it comes to Auburn and Alabama playing some of the smaller state schools in the state. South Alabama, UABs, the Jacksonville States, and the likes. But no, the tournament committee seeds UAB and seeds Auburn in the same pod out in Spokane. Very, very, I think, diabolical of the committee. And look, yes, I know UAB would have to get past San Diego State, and that's going to be a very, very challenging game for the Blazers. Go Blazers. We'll see if you can do that up there, Andy Kennedy. And Yale's going to be no slouch either for Auburn, but you get Auburn and UAB in the second round, this state would go insane. But to put it out in Spokane, Washington, come on, you have done Auburn no favors. You have done Auburn no favors in this tournament, and it really, I mean, from a neutral perspective, that's what I see. But from an Alabama perspective, it makes you kind of snicker and laugh because Auburn is playing as hot up basketball as really anyone in the country, and then for you to throw them in the same Sweet 16 kind of section with UConn, the 1.1, the number one overall team, the defending champion, I think is a big old slap in the face to the SEC and to the SEC champions. And I know Auburn, their road to the SEC championship game was what? They beat they beat South Carolina in the first day, and then they ended up beating Mississippi State, and then they ended up winning against Florida. None of the three wins were against the top three teams in the SEC, but you still won 3 games in 3 days. And you still showed out great character in Nashville and really not rewarded at all. And then you go down to even further in the bracket. Iowa State, the number 2 seed in their bracket, it is going to be a challenge. And the East bracket is going to be a lot of fun to pay attention to. You have the 1, the 4, and the 5 team. 3 of the top 5 teams in KenPom rankings in the East bracket in Auburn, in UConn, Auburn, and Iowa State. Absolutely brutal from the committee. As my cat agrees with me in the background. You go down, you roll through, and you get into the West bracket. And what anything stands out to you? Yeah, Arizona and North Carolina both being in the same pod. Obviously, North Carolina earning the 4th number 1 seed. Probably should have gone to Iowa State instead. But Arizona being the 2 in the North Carolina bracket, what's the storyline there? You're thinking, oh, the committee makers, we want to see Caleb Love play against his old team in the Elite 8 for the right to go to the Final Four. Juicy there. I think that a lot of this is just made for television. You go over to the Midwestern bracket. It's Tennessee and St. Peter's. What's unique about a 2-15 matchup? Oh, well, you got brother versus brother. The Ziegler brothers are going head to head. You could put any 15 seed. But you pick St. Peter's to go against Tennessee. I think we touched on it yesterday. Tennessee, you got to play a 7-10 matchup in the next round. The winner of the 7-10 matchup in the next round. Who's a good 7? How about Texas? Not like Rick Barnes only coached at Texas for 17 years and took the Texas Longhorns to a Final Four. Oh, that's not a juicy matchup that we want to create or anything. I mean, come on. You just see these things, these patterns in the bracket that make me think that, it's kind of made for, I mean, it is. It's made for TV. It's a lot of fun. You go over to the South bracket. What do? You could put any 8-9 matchup together, but you put Nebraska and Texas A&M together because Trev Alberts, the athletic director at Nebraska, goes and takes the job at Texas A&M. It's just kind of crazy. A lot of these connections. Oh, and what do we do with Florida and Kentucky? We put them in the same little Sweet 16 pod. They're going to, if they are able to work their way through their region and play each other again, look, it's just, we want to see these juicy matchups and we want to set this thing up. I think the tournament committee maybe ignored some of its balance per se and just kind of went with its heart and went with its gut and just did what it wanted to do. Now, is the tournament going to be fun? Absolutely. And whoever wins the tournament is going to be the clear champion, whether they come out of the West, out of the Midwest, out of the South, or the East. Even if it is one of these, it's probably likely going to be out of the other 3 regions because of whoever comes out of that East, whether it's UConn, whether it's Auburn, whether it's San Diego State. I think San Diego State has a good chance as well. Illinois and Iowa State. You've got several teams right there. If you get out of that East bracket, you will be national championship worthy. Obviously, if you make it to the Final Four, you can do anything you want to. All right, let's talk about the transfer portal real quick. Yesterday, at the end of the show, I went off on the transfer portal, and of course, you can disagree with me if you want to, at Joe Gaither 6 on any of the social medias that we're on live right now, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, right? You can disagree with me if you want to. The college basketball transfer portal opened yesterday. Right? You've got Ole Miss, you've got Oklahoma, you've got St. John's, you've got a number of teams who have opted out of postseason play. We don't want to play in the NIT. We don't want to play in the not invited tournament. It's not worth our time. You've got different programs citing health of the program, health of the players. You've got programs citing player development and player needs. I think Ole Miss has several players with some personal issues off the court, family medical issues off the court, and they want to address that, and that's great. You got other programs basically saying we want to prepare for next year. Why? Because 300 players went into the transfer portal yesterday. And I went a little bit crazy towards the end of the show yesterday about how unfair it is. Look, you're Nate Oates. We're right here in our Alabama bubble right here on BamaCentral.com, but you're Nate Oates, and you have basically battled your way through a very difficult season. You bowed out, you whimpered out in the SEC tournament, and you want to build a nice NCAA tournament run, right? You've had a very difficult year. You had a terrible showing in the SEC tournament. You can really put a nice exclamation point on your season with a Sweet 16 run. You beat your Charleston and you beat your St. Mary's. You get to the Sweet 16 again, and everybody's waving a banner, and then you roll the dice with whoever you play in the Sweet 16. But no, Nate, Coach Oates has to balance his staff that now one of his staff members is kind of probably doing double duty, working with UTSA or working on his future plans for UTSA. I mean, you can say, oh, I'm fully committed to the University of Alabama, but who are we kidding? If you're about to take a head coaching job in another place, you're obviously thinking about it a little bit. So you're at least your mind split. And Coach Gallant, I've heard nothing but good things about him. Maybe he'll be able to handle that splitting of duties very well over the next couple of weeks. Maybe not. I have no idea. But there's a little distraction. Boom, right there. And you got Preston Murphy and you got Ryan Pannone. You got these guys building game plans for Charleston, for Grand Canyon, and for St. Mary's. You got to be ready for whoever you play in the second round. You got to prepare to win. Prepare to win the first game against Charleston and have 2 game plans ready against either St. Mary's or Grand Canyon. Oh, but no, guys, not only do you have to scout 3 teams for the weekend, right? 3 teams for the weekend, 3 big game plans, get the guys ready, but you have to scout 300 bleeping players in the transfer portal as well, because if you don't, you're falling behind. You have 300 guys go into the portal yesterday. If you're not calling yesterday, if you're not reaching out yesterday, you're behind. And while you may not want to build through the transfer portal, you look at Alabama's recruiting class, you got 2 McDonald's All-Americans coming into the class, and I think that is going to be a very strong recruiting class. You cannot ignore it. You literally cannot, because there might be players that are perfect for your program or players that, might be going to Auburn or Arkansas or Tennessee or other rival programs that are going to be on your schedule that you need to kick the tires on. You figure out who they are, what kind of player they are. Are they going to be a fit for your program? Do you want them or not? It's absolutely unfair. It's absolutely unfair for the programs that are in the NCAA tournament. It's not just an Alabama issue. I'm sorry. I mean, we're talking through an Alabama lens, but it's not just an Alabama issue here. I mean, Auburn's having to deal with it as well. UAB is having to deal with it as well. Samford is having to deal with it as well. The 4 programs that are in the state of Alabama are having to deal with this at the same time. They want to put on a good showing in the NCAA tournament? Yeah, of course you do. And you also want to take advantage of the transfer portal because really, from a program standpoint, you can take a huge step forward if you get the right transfers in. Look, Nate Oates, I think, did a hell of a job bringing in Latrell Wrightsell, bringing in Grant Nelson, bringing in Aaron Estrada, really hammering the transfer portal and salvaging kind of the quality of the roster from what it was last season to what it is this year. Is it a step back? Obviously, come on, there's no number 2 overall NBA draft pick on your roster, right? Wouldn't you love that? There's no Brandon Miller walking through that door. It is a step back, but it's okay. Coach did a really strong job in the transfer portal, and now it seems like he's gotten worked on that again. Let's go ahead and talk about somebody who committed to the University of Alabama via the transfer portal. 24, 48 hours into the portal season? The portal's going to be open till May 1st. And look, that's great. Be open for a long time, but the tournament runs. When's the tournament going to be over? Let's look at our calendar. You got the first round this weekend, the second round. What's the tournament going to be? What's the championship game? The 8th or the 15th? Monday the 8th or Monday the 15th? I'm not looking at the official schedule right now, but it's either the 8th or the 15th, and you're still going to have 2 more weeks, at least 2 more weeks to go portaling. So there's no reason, if you're the NCAA, to have the portal open right now, to ask programs to split their duties between preparing for the NCAA tournament. I'm sorry, NCAA, this is your biggest money maker. Don't you want your programs to put on their best shows? Don't you want them to be prepared? Don't you want them to have good game plans and have their programs, have their players ready to play? Why don't you allow the coaches to focus on the NCAA tournament and focus on having a good postseason run instead of splitting their duties by opening the transfer portal the day after Selection Sunday? All right, but it's not all bad for Alabama. It's not all bad for Alabama because, you pay Coach Oates a lot of money. He's able to work it out. Coach Oates agreeing to a huge contract extension yesterday from the Board of Regents meeting, and you can check that out at BamaCentral.com. All the contract details for Coach Nate Oates, Coach Kalen DeBoer, Athletic Director Greg Byrne. All the contracts are right there. But you pay Nate Oates a lot of money. He goes into the transfer portal and he delivers. Let's look at the video. If you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, you can see the video. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon, I apologize. We're just going to describe Houston Millett for you. Houston Millett, 6'5", 185 pounds, out of Pepperdine. He's played 3 years for the Pepperdine Waves, and okay, his numbers look, good, and his game looks like a good fit for Alabama. Look at him. He's 14.7 points per game this past season as a junior for the Pepperdine Wave, 43% from the floor, 3 rebounds, 2 assists a game. He's shooting his season best, his career best, 41% from the 3-point line, and this year for the Wave, 81% from the free throw line. We like those percentages. We like the length. 6'5" as a guard. Ooh, that makes me tingle. It's going to be interesting to see how these numbers play out, and we'll get into that in here in just a minute. But just specifically on Millett. Millett's game, if you're watching him here on the YouTube, he's got a nice little mid-range stop right here. He looks like he can score at all 3 levels. He looks like a natural scorer. He's going to be a guy who, to me, as I'm watching these highlights, looks like an Aaron Estrada perfect one-to-one kind of replacement. Now, will it be a one-to-one replacement? There is no such thing as a one-to-one replacement because every man is different. But he shows ability to make it from deep. He's got a nice quick release. He's got a nice off the dribble right here in this little highlight. He's got a lot of game right here. I'm not sure how much of this mid-range game he's going to be showing here at Alabama, but my biggest concern is this. Here's the one detraction. You're going to see a lot of the Alabama people very happy about this, and he's obviously very talented. You can see it on the screen. My biggest concern is the Pepperdine Wave finished 13-20 this year. Finished 5-11 this year. Now, look, it's not all one man. You can't put any wins on, and obviously you need help playing in the West Coast Conference, playing with Gonzaga and St. Mary's. You're not playing in a bad conference. But he finished last. Pepperdine finished last in the West Coast Conference his freshman and sophomore year. Now, this year they finished 6th, so they weren't last. They finished 5-11 in conference play. He's coming to Alabama, and what's he going to have to do? He's going to have to, what's the phrase, Nate Oates? Learn how to win. Oh, my gosh, we heard that a lot in the early part of the year. We got to learn how to win. We got to learn how to play down the stretch. We got to learn how to fight to win. And does this man, Houston Millett, does his numbers look good? Yes. At 6'5", I love the length from the guard. You see that dribble, the sidestep, and he makes it from 3 right there. We love the 41% from the 3-point line. It's obviously, I would suspect to get better. I would suspect that will get better when he comes to Alabama. He makes it from real deep right there, showing showing off his range. I think the Aaron Estrada comparisons are going to be going to be accurate right here in Houston Millett. And you're going to miss Houston Millett. You're going to miss him, Aaron Estrada. You're going to miss Estrada because he is a graduate transfer. He's out of eligibility. He's no longer, he's the one guy who's basically off this roster. You've opened up a scholarship with Aaron Estrada, and you've opened up a scholarship with Kai Spears. Now you've got 3 scholarships players coming in, now 4 with Houston Millett. So you need to open up 2 scholarships. You need to see 2 guys move on, and there are plenty of candidates who could move on. Littrell, right? So could move on, and whoever, like literally, Mark Sears has another year, but he's graduated. If he wants to move on, he can. Nick Pringle, you can move on. And look, any of these Alabama guys can go in the transfer portal as well. And, I would hope not, because I like these guys. I like covering them. But you never know what will happen when Alabama is eliminated. So Houston Millett is your newest transferee. He's coming in from Pepperdine, 6'5", 185. He scores 14 points a game in the West Coast Conference. Good little shooter, coming off the screen right here. Going to pop it right from the top of the key and make it, playing in a tiny. Look, the West Coast Conference outside of Gonzaga and St. Mary's. You're not always getting full arenas. We'll see how he adjusts to the SEC. But for more reading on him, you can check it out at BamaCentral.com with my man Blake Byler. Let's move on to 2 other guys. 2 other guys have reported that they have heard from the coaching staff, whether it be Ryan Pannone, Preston Murphy, or Austin Claunch, or even the man himself, Nate Oates. Freddie Fiddler is a forward from Omaha, and Freddie Fiddler, according to Joe Tipton, has been called by the University of Alabama, the coaching staff. 6'5" forward, scoring 20 points a game, and with 6.3 rebounds a game for Omaha. So we like those numbers, but I didn't do a big old deep dive on him just because you're going to hear a lot of this person was called by Alabama. This person was contacted by Alabama. We'll wait to get to know these guys once they get closer on down the line or commit to the University of Alabama. And then secondly, a Belmont guard, Jacoby Gillespie. Jacoby Gillespie, reported by 24/7 Sports, is a 6'1" guard playing at Belmont, 17 points a game and 4 assists per game. So, look, it's very clear that the Alabama coaching staff is working the portal, is getting into the transfer portal, as well as obviously preparing for Charleston, Grand Canyon, and St. Mary's. I just think it's a travesty, not just specifically for Alabama, for all 68 teams. Look, if you're Virginia, think about it. You're playing in the first 4. You're Virginia. You're recruiting at a pretty high level because you won a national championship in the last decade. You've got a nice little program going, but you've got to prepare for a first 4 game. You've got to handle logistics and travel. It's unbelievable. Sunday, you get selected. You get placed in the first 4. You got to quickly figure out your game plan to get to Dayton, Ohio. And you've got to manage who's going in the portal. You got to prepare for your game against Colorado State, right? Get your game plan ready to play the Rams, right? Colorado State Rams. They got you're playing Colorado State. And you're managing the transfer portal. It's unfair. That's ridiculous. Think about that. 48 hours. This 48 hours for the Virginia coaching staff. Tony Bennett is a heck of a coach. He's got a great reputation, but it's absolutely unfair. It's just ridiculous. And so the NCAA needs to do something about the transfer portal in many ways. It needs many tweaks. And if you control the transfer portal, you will control NIL. You will control the tampering, and you'll get a better handle on pay for play. You won't eliminate pay for play, but you will get a better handle on pay for play. And the pay for play will be more directly for recruiting. And is that still a little bit dirty? Yes, it is. But wouldn't you rather be dirty through one lane? Okay, we're recruiting high school kids and maybe there's some pay for play involved versus, I can call Billy Baller I can call Billy Baller's high school team and tell him, hey, I'm interested in Billy Baller. If he comes in the transfer portal, we can give him $200,000. That's apparently the going rate for a starting level guard in Division I. $200,000 has been reported or leaked or whispered around by the Chili Donovans of the world. You call Billy Baller, we'll get him his $200,000. Look, that stuff will stop if you control the transfer portal. All right, let's get into the first four. Let's pick some games, and then we will get into Pro Day and wrap this bad boy up. It's Tuesday, March 19th, and I appreciate everybody watching us, whether you're watching us on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. You're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on Amazon. Subscribe to The Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. On those platforms, tell a friend about this show, and you can make fun of me on any of the social media machines you like at Joe Gaither 6. The first four tonight, True TV, Wagner and Howard starts this bad boy off. And it doesn't quite feel like the NCAA tournament to me, but it definitely does to Wagner and Howard. Those guys are fighting for their tournament lives. And really, I did just a very slow kind of looked at KenPom and kind of figure out, Wagner's going to play slow. Howard's going to play fast. Howard, good offense, bad defense. Wagner, good defense, bad offense. And so you've got Howard as a 3.5-point favorite. And we will take Howard because we are susceptible to falling in love with teams that play like Alabama. But the slower team, look, you play slow in the NCAA tournament, especially in the first rounds. When you're playing, you kind of have a culture shock going on. The slower team tends to kind of usually kind of implement its will, kind of dictate the pace a little bit more in the NCAA tournament. So watch out, Wagner. I know it's only a 3.5-point spread. We're taking Howard and the 3.5, but I think it's going to be a close, fun game to kick off our NCAA tournament season. And then next, Colorado State and Virginia. Colorado State, you kind of got the same sort of thing. Colorado State, good little offense, decent defense. Virginia, bad offense, amazing defense, top 10 KenPom defense. So you're going to have probably a clash of styles again. Colorado State, a 2.5-point favorite, and we are going to take Colorado State as well because I don't think that Virginia belongs in this tournament. I think Virginia just got selected, got put in based on brand name? Oh, maybe not. No, surely not. The NCAA tournament doesn't operate that way. I mean, look at the women's bracket. Look at the women's bracket. We go back to the early topic. You're putting Iowa and LSU in the same bracket. Don't tell me that this isn't made for TV. And then from an Alabama perspective, you put Alabama and Florida State in the first round. Look, I know there's not going to be a whole lot of juice and drama nationally behind that, but for the two fan bases involved, Alabama and Florida State, oh, you bet your tail. You see the little softball tweet from softball a week or two ago from Alabama softball defeating Florida State and trolling. Oh, no committee required here because a lot of people going back to the NCAA college football playoff selection committee, Alabama jumping Florida State. You don't think there's a little juice between there? They're doing all of this for television, and we are eating it all up here at BamaCentral and BamaCentral.com because that's what we do. So tonight, Howard and Colorado State are my winners. We'll see if they advance, and if they advance to the next little deal, to the official first round, to actually the NCAA tournament. Tomorrow on the show, we will talk about the other two first four games. Let me get those out there for you as we're thinking about it. Grambling and Montana State are going to be playing at 5:40 on Wednesday. Montana State, 3.5-point favorite. I haven't looked at these yet, so I'm not making picks. I'll make a pick tomorrow. And then 8-10, you've got Colorado and Boise State. Colorado, a 2.5-point favorite. So both the Colorado big universities playing in the first four. Kind of interesting there. Don't tell me that they don't like all this stuff. Let's just make these interesting matchups and make it all for TV, which is fun, but don't really... I don't know. It feels a little disingenuous to sell us on it. We want to build the most balanced bracket when you've got the three of the regions, coming in at pretty good balance, and then one super tough region with the East. It's a little bit crazy, but it's fun, and we don't mind it, and we will eat it up anyways. Let's finish with Pro Day. Tomorrow at the University of Alabama is Pro Day, and let us look at our friends from the University of Alabama right there. That's what I wanted right there. It's going to start at 10 a.m. They're going to do heights and weights on Terrion Arnold, on Chris Braswell, on Jermaine Burton, Darian Dalcourt, Justin Boygby, Jalen Key, J.C. Latham, Tresman Marshall, Jason McClellan, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Will Reichert, and Dallas Turner are who's going to participate in Pro Day. Starts at 10 a.m. We'll do position drills at noon. We'll do the 40 at 11:15, and you can follow us at Bama Central. I'm going to be out there with our friends, Katie Wyndham, I believe. Blake Byler's going to be traveling. Blake's going to be gone. He's catching a jet plane to Spokane, Washington. Follow Blake Byler for his coverage at Blake Byler 45. Tell him you're thankful for him making the journey to the West Coast. But for the pro day, you're going to have myself. You're going to have probably Katie Wyndham and probably Will Miller and whoever else at BamaCentral.com. We'll have a lot of video from the Hank Crisp indoor facility. Is this a huge day for these guys? I mean, you're seeing mock drafts come out over the last day or two. You know, a lot of these universities are having pro day, and tomorrow's will be fun. It's going to be aired, at 10:30 to 1 on SEC Network. So if you don't want to follow me on the Twitter machine, you can watch it on SEC Network at 10:30. Tomorrow's going to be fun, but nationally it's going to be overshadowed by Southern Cal. Southern Cal having its pro day. All eyes will be on Caleb Williams and how he performs. He said he was going to push almost all of his activities to his pro day, so that's tomorrow for him as well. Oh, what are we thinking? Tomorrow's big day. You see the mock drafts. You see Terry Arnold, you see J.C. Latham, and you see Dallas Turner all locked in the top, 8 to 20 picks. You've seen Kool-Aid McKinstry kind of hanging out 20 to 32. Maybe he's still going to be in the first round. I think you're foolish if you don't take Kool-Aid McKinstry in the first round. Tomorrow's day is really just to show we're still in shape. We're still in shape. We haven't gotten fat since the end of the season. We're all capable of running a pretty good time. I don't think anybody needs to blow anybody away with a 4.21 like whoever that was at Pro Day or at the Combine. Oh, Xavier Worthy, like Xavier Worthy did at the Combine. I don't think anybody needs to blow anybody away with a 4.21. My thing for me personally, I'm going to be kind of just looking around to see who's there from the NFL and trying to talk to, it'll be always fun to talk to Terry Arnold. Terrian's a great interview. I'm going to miss having him a part of the Alabama program. Look, if Terrian Arnold was under the Kalen DeBoer system, I think that he already is as a fan favorite. But if Kalen DeBoer, Terrian Arnold was playing under the Kalen DeBoer system, at least media policy-wise, I think you'd be able to get to know Terry Arnold a whole lot more and fall in love with him a whole lot more. So you will be able to see those 10 guys, Terry Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Jalen Key, Chris Braswell, Dallas Turner, Darian Dalcourt, J.C. Latham, Trez Marshall, Jace McClellan, Will Reichert, Justin Boydby, and Jermaine Burton, all at Pro Day tomorrow. And we'll have all your coverage right here at BamaCentral.com. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be over in the Hank Crisp media room. Now, look, for the rest of the day, it's football and it's March Madness, or the rest of the week, excuse me. It's football and it's March Madness, balancing the two. Nothing at play today, football-wise. Alabama football is on the practice field Tuesday, March 19th. Wednesday, obviously, Pro Day. We'll be all over that. You just heard about that. Thursday is the next chance that we're going to hear from Kalen DeBoer. And on Thursday, we're going to have practice video as well. We're going to be able to be at practice. You're going to see our 20 to 25 minutes worth of video. We'll put it up there on the Bama Central YouTube channel. We'll put it up there on all our social medias at Bama Central, at Bama Central SI on Instagram, at Alabama Crimson Tide on Sports Illustrated on Facebook, and of course at Joe Gaither 6 on all of them on Thursday. And then Friday, there's nothing because we're all taking the day off from football to celebrate March Madness, get ready for Friday night's game against Charleston. We will dive more into that as the week gets as it gets closer. I haven't really studied Charleston too much outside of generics. They look like a mid-major version of Alabama. We want to shoot a lot of threes. We want to get up the floor. We don't want to play a whole lot of defense, and we did a good job winning a lot of games that way. We'll see how it goes in the tournament, and we'll see how if my deep dive kind of confirms all that. And then Saturday for the football side, we get defensive players and assistants. So it's going to be a fun rest of the week. Saturday will give you your football sustenance. Hopefully the Crimson Tide for you guys. One on Friday night, and we're covering Alabama on Sunday in the round of 32 against St. Mary's or Grand Canyon. That's going to do it for our show today. I appreciate everybody watching us. We had a lot of you guys watching us on X. We had a lot of you guys watching us on Facebook and Twitter, or Facebook and YouTube as well. You watched us out at Joe Gaither 6. You watched us at Bama Central on Bama Central's YouTube channel as well. We appreciate y'all so much. We'll get out of here for the rest of the day and be back for another edition of the Joe Gaither Show tomorrow on Bama Central and Bama Central.